the first Heart of the Swarm episode of Anatomy of StarCraft. With us today we have some of our mainstays, Brutaxelos, and the newly Masters, Don Croft.
Yes, indeed.
Hello. Everybody applause future MLG champ right here. Okay, we also have EG.iNcontroL. You might have heard.
Hello.
Yes, he's EG's resident badass. We're going to talk about, of course, the topic will be Zerg today, but I wanted to start off by asking you guys a few questions just to sort of figure out what's going on with Heart of the Swarm and where we're at. So I guess we'll start with EG.iNcontroL. What was your... Did you play the campaign, first of all?
No.
You didn't? Okay. So you don't know about all the like, derpy, like... Yeah, there was quite a few derp moments. Okay.
I read about a lot of it. You know, I guess like Xeris is supposed to be the organic planet where the Zergs came from as opposed to Char being their home planet. Kerrigan had to consume a bunch of feral Zergs to regain her Zerginess or something.
Yeah, she like reinfested herself right away. Oh, by the way, spoilers, everyone. Spoilers. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, yeah, basically like she renders Wings of Liberty effectively pointless. Yep. And it's funny because her in-game model actually has the bio high heels, but the very end cinematic where she like does that silly little fly-off thing, she's actually barefoot. So Zappy has actually hypothesized that the heels are critical in keeping her grounded because without them, because she's actually lighter than air. So these are super dense.
Oh wow!
That,
Her toes are always exposed. She always also has the high heel stiletto coming off of her heel, including that moment where she floats up.
No, she doesn't.
Are you absolutely certain? I just saw it today, and I saw the heel.
Well, maybe I was busy looking at other parts of her anatomy.
Perhaps.
As that's, yeah. But either way, that's our running hypothesis, that the heels are what's keeping her grounded, because she is, in fact, lighter than air.
I think they make her legs look longer. You know,
that's the point of it. That's the point of the heel. Yeah, exactly. It's very.
You're just gonna go with the straight up heel explanation, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I don't understand is you've got this guy Abathur that's like obsessed with perfecting the swarm and making them as effective as efficient as possible. You know, no waste, and then he gives her friggin' bio heels. Like, why?
He didn't give them to her.
Who did?
It was the Overmind's design. Abathur just put it together. And I don't know. Well, obviously that was the Blizzard
PR, man. She's the front woman. She's gotta
exactly.
Look good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
What if, say, her metabolism had crashed and she gained like 500 pounds and was just this giant rotund Zerg blob? You think
StarCraft would be less popular.
You think?
I think so.
Wow.
I think you're saying that she would turn into a Cerebrit, because that's exactly what a Cerebrit was.
Oh my god. Yeah. So basically, okay, so we figured out what a Cerebrit is and where they come from. They're just overweight female ghosts that turn into...
Arrogance. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, have you ever seen, I believe it was, what was it, Alien Resurrection, where they were cloning... Yep. They were cloning Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, they were cloning Ripley, and there was all those like blobby ones that were like, kill me. Maybe that's what they did with Kerrigan.
Yeah, the previous 7 experiments where they didn't splice the DNA properly.
They needed themselves an Abathur is what they needed.
You know, one of the theories on like why how there was an infested Kerrigan for Heart of the Storm, it was like, you know how Kerrigan can like rebirth herself, right, when she dies?
Yeah.
Someone said like the Kerrigan that got de-infested stayed de-infested, and then Zerg just created another infested Kerrigan.
That's stupid.
That would have been funny.
I wouldn't call the primal Zerg Kerrigan infested, because it wasn't forced upon her at all, and the primal Zerg pool used the DNA that remained in her hair tendrils, her psionic tendrils, to basically recreate the body that was given to her as the Queen of Blades, but without the corruption that was inherent to the broken swarm, which was the swarm that left Zeros.
I kind of wish that they would have some kind of alternative model that makes her look more primal.
Well, it is slightly different. She's got this protrusion off of her right shoulder that wasn't there before.
No, it was there. I checked. I checked in the cinematic with where she fights Zeratul in the
it's there.
It's still there. It's only one side too. It's asymmetrical.
Yeah. And as we all know, asymmetry is the essence of beauty. So if you've ever seen somebody that has like a stroke and like they've got a really hot face, but then they have a stroke and it kind of like droops down, the asymmetry makes them hotter. Or at least that's some pretty bad sarcasm.
Well, the most significant change in their appearance that we can all note is the fact that we can see the irises and pupils in her eyes instead of that orange glow.
That's
so
true.
Instead of that kind of vampiric monster look, she still looks like a person, albeit one with a lot of aura energy coming out of her.
You know what?
I feel like that's more of a positive update with technology, because Zeratul has the irises too, the pupils.
Yeah, he does.
And
compare the orange eyes. Compare the orange eyes from like the cinematics in Wings of Liberty to the purple eyes. The personality in the eyes is definitely more poignant. They made a point of that.
Yeah,
they tried to make it more
it is a
human.
good thing, but I feel like it's not. It's more of a technological thing than a storytelling thing.
You might be right. It might have just been easier not to do it with the graphics of 1998.
Oh, no! In the special features disc, which I did see, I borrowed it from my cousin. They said flat out that they did that as a storytelling thing.
Oh, okay.
The fact that you could see her eyes made her more human, just by their very appearance.
That's very true with the pareidolia effect. It's why we see like the man on the moon, and every time that there's like a random face in the shadows, we automatically read things as a face. So and that's why there's that effect in gaming in general, where the closer you get to having like a really accurate human face in graphics, the less believable it is.
That's also the reason why the stormtroopers in Star Wars, why you couldn't see their faces. It made them less human, so it made the show appear less violent, I guess.
Exactly. Then that's ultimately why they changed to robots in episode 1, because all the hippies were freaking out. But you know what I loved about one thing that I thought was absolutely hilarious in the plot. So Kerrigan goes through all this herping around the galaxy as is standard for, it seems, most Blizzard games. Do we have issues with the internet?
Yeah, he just said be right back.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I thought the call dropped. They basically, like, the plots of these new StarCraft 2 games are, you have your main character, be it Raynor or Kerrigan, and you spend 99% of your time herping around the galaxy, getting allies, and doing little side things, and then there's a big battle at the end. And that's fine and dandy, because they did some pretty cool stuff in the campaign that was a lot of fun. But what I loved was she went through all of this just to rescue Raynor, right? Like, she went through the reinfestation. She went through fighting these big she totally did, because they were separated.
No.
And she went through all of it for him, man. I'm telling you. And then he turned around, like, as soon as he saw her reinfested, he's like, I'm not even having any of this.
Not at all. If she had thought he was dead, if she had not thought he was dead, she certainly would not have gone to Xeris. That's what drove her to desperation, was thinking he was dead. And I don't know why she believed the propaganda, but either way, he was either captured or killed. And after reading through Flashpoint, I mean, Minx has been pursuing them. Everyone's dying around them. He's desperate to kill Raynor and Kerrigan, as he's been wanting to kill them for a very long time. And if you recall the line, she says, the killing will never stop until Minx is dead. That's in the trailers, and they played it off as kind of a revenge
I'm guessing the
thing.
killing keeps going, though.
Yeah, no, it does.
It stops when Minx stops, because that's the thing with oppressive dictators, is they'll bring down everything around them until they themselves are disposed.
I'm being a smartass. I'm saying I think that in Legacy of the Void, there's probably still going to be some violence.
Certainly.
It's
StarCraft.
Post Mink's death.
No, they've already set it up, okay? So they've got Zeratul's heading back to Shakuras, and he basically flat out says that she's got to atone or, like, account for what she's done, as he will have to. So it's basically going to just be a whole bunch of missions of, like, litigation, where you've got, like, cross-examination of Zeratul and, like, the evidence.
Protoss lawyers.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
they
going
did
to
in the original.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. They're just going to have a bunch of, like, legal slap fighting as this dark voice character comes in and just dismantles the galaxy. And basically, the standard Blizzard plotline seems to be like when they did this in the Warcraft universe, where like you keep getting badder and badder bad guys to the point where all the factions pretty much have to unite, even if they're mortal enemies, like orcs and humans, Zergs and Protoss, Zergs and Terran. They all unite to fight this one super badass, and then there's peace. And then they just destroy the whole universe like they did with Cataclysm, and then add pandas. Which, I mean...
Did they actually destroy the universe with the Cataclysm?
Cataclysm, I believe they really wrecked up the place.
Yeah, they changed the terrain. Ooh, Not that I played it, I just saw the trailer.
Yeah, I can't abide by World of Warcraft, I'm sorry. I've never...
Don't war and politics always go hand in hand? I mean, they say war is young men dying and old men talking. That's what war is.
Yep.
That's a pretty good definition.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, I've got some questions for each of you. In control, what was your favorite addition, Zerg-wise? We're going to just talk about Zerg stuff now. What was your favorite addition, Zerg-wise, to the game?
Are we talking like real science or just actual function of the game
just
itself?
Anything, man. Like if you like the look of...
I like the Swarm Host. I like it a lot. I mean, I think part of the problem with Zerg was that they had a lot of free unit generation, which was kind of silly, but sticking with that theme, if you can get past that, the Swarm Host is like a mid-game siege unit that just kind of adds to the swarm crawly feeling of Zerg. I really like it that way.
Yeah, I like how they did the what they did with the Swarm Host, as we talked about. I don't know if you were on that episode or not for the Swarm Host, but there are actually creatures that there's two that come to mind. There's obviously Pippa, which is that frog that's famous for having babies grow up in its skin and then they erupt from the skin, and an insect called a bellostomatid, which is a really nasty carnivorous diving. It's not a beetle, but a lot of people will mistake it for one. And the male carries the eggs. I believe it's the male carries the eggs on his back in a similar kind of looking thing.
Is it a bug then? If it's not,
it's a hemipteran, which is the group that includes like aphids. A lot of them are just like sapsuckers and stuff, but this one has evolved so that it uses that sort of straw face that's got a
proboscis.
Yeah. Basically, well, they've got different names like Styly and weird stuff depending on whichever nerd you want to talk to, but there's basically a straw coming that leads right into its mouth. And it uses that to suck out, like it catches, like, say, a frog and sucks out the fluids from them. So, yeah, pretty badass. All right, and what was your least favorite addition to the Zerg?
I don't know. I mean, I think Zerg was one of the most improved races in Heart of the Swarm. I feel like they became pretty damn complete. I guess as far as least favorite... I mean, I'm kind of the wrong guy because I'm in love with everything they did. I don't know. I mean, I guess the closest would be like muta regeneration. I wish that was a little bit slower or different. Because it feels kind of funny when you cast like a Psionic Storm and the mutas fly away, and you're like, that actually did nothing except for buy me like 10 seconds, and then they come back fully healed.
And then you gotta rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Actually, it's funny, I was watching the GSL last night, the very first thing, what was it? Roro versus, what's his face? Some other, I think he was like he plays for, Samsung.
Crazy.
Yeah, Crazy, yeah. And I watched the first two before I finally fell asleep, and, it was Muta versus Muta, and like, it was crazy. And one thing, like the tissue regeneration you mentioned, like that's the name of the change. But here's the thing. Basically all tissue regenerates.
Yeah, but there's this special.
So they why wouldn't they call it?
Not that fast.
Yeah, like why wouldn't they call it like metabolic retooling or
rapid
repurposing?
tissue regeneration?
Yeah, like just something to differentiate it from the fact that like if you like let's say that you like
I don't know. Some things they call like pathogen glands, which is really fancy. Other things they call enduring locus, which is pretty straightforward.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know. I feel that they could have made made that sound a lot more interesting.
I mean, they could have said like reproductive hypersynthesization glands or something.
See, that would be way better.
Enduring locus. Well, I don't know. It depends on casters love it when it's simple.
They get pretty nerdy, like Caduceus reactor. Like we're supposed to know what the hell that means.
Caduceus.
Yeah. Even I haven't bothered to look that one. I know the Corvid reactor. Ravens are in the Corvidae family. But
there you go. That's
Caduceus. It's an old Greek
pretty
reference. Random. It goes back to the snake on the pole and the whole thing about medicine and.
Okay, I see what that's what you're saying. All right, so Doncroft.
And you're like the only guy that got that. You and like 3 doctors that play StarCraft. So.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, okay, I see what you did there.
Yep.
So, okay, Doncroft, favorite and least favorite things, either from the story, anything to do with the Zerg and Heart of the Swarm.
Favorite thing to do with the Zerg? Well, going into multiplayer, I'm gonna say this very simple yet elegant change to Ultralist damage has revolutionized the unit. Like, as Protoss, I always used to go Zealot Archon to shut down Ultralist, but now Ultralists eat Zealot Archon for breakfast, and it makes sense. They've got these huge sweeping blades. Basically anything caught near those blades is going to get shredded, be it light or armored. And it's made the Ultralist just a viable tech option late game. I mean, I've been losing Yeah, in the Master League, I lost a game today to Broodlords and Ultralists combined. I killed his Infestors and thought I'd be okay. Nope.
Yeah, and then if you look into the campaign where you start to be able to customize your Ultralist, what I always did was I put the Monarch Blades, which added raw damage, and then I think I did the one where they like read the Torask thing where they like when they die the first time they can come back.
They reincarnate like a Tauren Chieftain out of Warcraft 3.
Yeah, and then it's on cooldown for like a minute or something like that. Like you can just A move, like you basically have twice the amount of Ultralisks. And my cat is knocking things over in the background. I don't know if you can hear it.
As good as that campaign is, I've never seen so much A moving. That campaign is all A move.
It's fun. It's fun. I liked it. Okay, so least favorite thing from whatever having to do with the Zerg.
The fact that Nidus Worms were not addressed in any way. I mean, they're good, but I think they still need to be tweaked. Perhaps the Nidus network can build 2 at a time. Maybe they release smaller units faster, like they release Zerglings and Banelings 2 at a time, but larger units 1 at a time. Maybe a small amount of armor increase so that workers and low-tier units can't kill them off quite so easily. Just some kind of tweak to them, because I think while they're good, they're still lacking some utility that comes with good design in a gameplay option.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I mean, when you do see good Nidus Worm play, it can really keep somebody pinned, especially if you've got, like, say, a big Protoss Death Ball. I believe it can really pin them down if done correctly. But if they're on top of their minimap, you're not, I mean...
You combine Queens and Swarm Host with them, you can make a very powerful mid-game out of it.
Yeah, that Swarm Host push is just... I've seen people just get face-rolled by that.
I defeated one today. It wasn't easy, though. It was a lot of micro.
And this was, again, in Masters League, or...?
Yes.
This was Masters. Just making sure that it's Masters League, because...
It was Masters versus Masters.
It's important because you just made Masters. Yeah, so it's Masters. We have to make sure that everyone knows that that your opinion now is relevant officially, because you are Masters League.
And the last 2 years don't count.
No, they don't.
All those posts and balance changes that made it into the game, but
it all was building to this.
It's all good. Yep.
Now that you're Masters, I fully expect after the show, maybe EG.iNcontroL sends you a little message saying, hey, we've got some spare contract room.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Want to go to Korea?
Say incoming EG Dawncroft RC.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty funny.
No.
I was like,
I'm an elementary school teacher. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe you could become a coach for some of their slower players.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've got any slow players or anything, but like if you have need for like an elementary level coach.
Oh, I would find new ways to.
You could start like an EG academy to train 6-year-olds how to become killing machines in the Korean StarCraft scene.
Yeah, first I gotta figure out how to deal with Medevac, a Widowmine first, but
I think you and everybody else, including the balance team, needs to decide how to deal with that.
Yep. It's like a combination of Entomb from the old Oracle and Baneling bombs from Overlords.
Yeah, they're one of the most commonly cried about things I see for balance wise. I've never been a big fan of the Widowmine, but I mean, then again, I'm not a Terran player, so I don't necessarily know, and I'm not Masters. So I don't really have an opinion, according to at least how the forums typically.
Well, you have an opinion, it's just not a valid one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can back it up with all the logic and evidence you want, and statistic relevancy and multivariate analyses and things like this. But the simple fact is that I haven't even played 1v1 in Heart of the Swarm yet. So, yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. So I mean, that just shows how very invalid it is, right? I mean, I watch all the pro games. But it's kind of like playing armchair GM for like any NFL or NHL team or whatever. Oh, here's what they should have done, and then they would have won, the GSL. Yeah, typical hindsight 2020.
Was there another question?
Yes. We talked about your least favorite. Okay. Yes. I believe Brutaxelos is AFK. I think he had to go eat dinner or something.
Yes, this 30-minute show cut into his time.
He's actually a cut. We were going to have basically the leader of that One Direction group, the one that does the balancing or whatever.
Yeah, it was a misunderstanding about the time zones. He regrets not being able to be here. He had prior commitments.
Yeah, it was a time zone thing. Like I said, 6:30 PST, and something happened where
he thought it was Mountain Time.
Yeah, something like, because I usually book in Mountain Time because that's the superior time zone. Yeah. If you don't live there.
Yeah. He runs a mod group called One Goal. They basically create an alternate version of the game with a bunch of a bunch of different things that the community has always kind of wanted to see, like what if sentries came out of the robotics facility but were more powerful, or all this stuff. And it's some interesting stuff. He's even got some grandmasters that play his mod and help him figure it out.
Just to be clear, their opinion would be more or less valid than yours.
Well, let's see. I'm a forum MVP, but they are grandmasters. I propose a writing contest and a best of three, and we'll just take the cumulative score from both of those and kind of figure it out using some kind of mathematical algorithm.
And I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but you English majors are crazy. And I know that
we are.
Yeah, you guys both have English
We
degrees.
prefer the term sophisticated.
I wish we had Browder in on the call, because I believe he has
a degree in English literature, as do I.
Yeah, so I could really hammer home the point that English people are nerds. Mm-hmm. The only use I had for my poetry class, quite honestly, was I had to take an English option, and it was either short stories or poems. So I figured, well, the short stories are typically longer than a poem, so I'll spend less time reading it and not getting it than I would if I took the short stories.
Should have picked the short stories.
I actually picked up a pretty hot girl in my class, so I'm not complaining. All right, so I'm gonna. God damn it, my cat's making noise again. He knocked over a pop can. All right, he's a little bastard. Anyway, I'm gonna say a few things about, since we haven't really talked about the campaign, and it's really a rich place to get a lot of info about the Zerg and things like that. I mean, we get a lot of really awesome close-up pictures where they're moving. On the screens where you're deciding like which Taurus you want or what, like the evolution pit or whatever. Mm-hmm. You get a lot of really cool up close pictures, and I really like that about Heart of the Swarm. It renders a lot of what we've said in the past to be either incorrect or completely retarded. So we're going to have to redo a lot of the different stuff, which is awesome, because now that we have these resources, we're going to be able to be a little bit more accurate. I'm really excited for that. One thing I'm not excited for is the Feral Zerg.
The Primal Zerg.
Primal Zerg. I've always just called them like the country bumpkin backwater idiot Zergs. Like that Dahaka character just strikes me as somebody who, like, he seems to have some issues with his brain, I think.
Well, they make fun of him in the dialogue. He's like, I collect all this essence. Why can't I evolve a new arm? Because he's missing a small arm on one side and a big arm on the other side. And come on, collect essence, just regenerate the darn limb.
Here's the way that these Primal Zerg work, for anyone who doesn't understand or hasn't played or whatever, is that they basically run around and eat each other, and whatever Zerg they eat, they can harvest the genes from, and then they, like, on the spot instantly will grow spikes. Like, that's legitimately in the campaign, in one of the cutscenes. And that's pretty fantastical, and you don't.
They're like Kirby. They're like Kirby. What they eat, they become.
Yeah, exactly.
Except Kirby's real, and Primal Zergs are totally fantastical.
It's true.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, there is a little bit of precedent for absorbing genes that way in vertebrates. Actually, in humans, specifically people of Japanese descent. Basically, how it works is they've eaten a lot of seaweed over the past thousands of years.
Long time. Yeah,
long time. And so basically what happened was there's a specific bacteria that actually, it's called Zubelia galactinivorans. So basically what it does is it actually digests the complex carbohydrates that are in the seaweed that
wow.
we as North Americans can't do, and they actually got that gene, like their gut bacteria got that gene because they ate seaweed that had this other bacteria on it.
Over thousands of years, they've evolved to the point where they can better eat seaweed?
Yeah.
Holy crap, what a useless skill.
I know.
Must absorb essence from Japanese.
From Japan. Yeah, so we must absorb Japanese essence so we can get the most out of sushi. But the point is that
there's not going to be a TV show based on that. I'll tell you that right now.
No, they're really. It's not going to be like a documentary where they have that they have them like evolving in front of you, and so it's going to be like just a Japanese guy like standing there. It's like
a normal person would take 2, maybe 5 minutes to digest this, but a Japanese person can take 1 to 20 seconds.
Actually, Actually, it would be more like a typical person, say from America, would not be able to digest the complex carbohydrates inside of most sea.
Wow.
Wait, no, you have to do the
modern
you have to do the British
digital
accent.
camera
You have to be Richard
technology
Attenborough.
will be able to go inside
That's
the
true.
Japanese stomach and observe this startling.
I think we need Morgan Freeman is what we need.
Yeah, well, anything. What's the word? Commentated by Morgan Freeman is going to be awesome.
Okay, so basically the point is that what they're talking about with what's going on Xeris is what's called horizontal gene transfer. So basically, I mean, we do see this stuff with viruses. They can interact with people in certain ways. I mean, they've even gotten to the point where some viruses have stolen elements of immune systems from their hosts or have inserted themselves in their entirety into like a bird's genome.
I thought worms were able to consume other worms and then finish a maze that the one before finished as well. Experiment they did?
No, I don't think so.
I've heard that actually.
I've heard it.
I've never heard of that, and even if it is, you'd have to have a tremendous amount of statistical correlation, and even then, we're not talking about Zerg that are finishing mazes. Even if that's 100% accurate.
No, but mine's better. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I mean, either way, a lot of times. It's just a fantastical thing. Like the champions of horizontal gene transfer are in fact things like bacteria. There's even some that have, I believe, this like intermittent organ that you could think of kind of like a bacteria penis that just like comes up to another one and goes surprise and injects DNA into the other one.
So we haven't even talked about the biggest difference between the primal Zerg and the swarm. The difference is the primal Zerg are individuals. They don't have that hive mind.
They kind of do.
They're pack. They have a pack mentality.
Well,
more like
that's not true because they have a distinct
like a herd.
Leader. They have a distinct leader. So it's
like a herd.
No,
like a herd of horses.
A herd of horses does not have a leader. Horses are idiots. Have you ever seen a horse? They just sit around there looking around, getting scared at loud noises.
What on earth are you talking about? They always have a lead stallion and a lead mare.
It's more of a like thinking more like a lion pride where they have.
Wolf pack, lion pride, yeah. Yeah,
where they have specific roles for them rather than just having a bunch of horses mill about in a field. They actually coordinate themselves in a way.
And Guy doesn't like horses.
I guess he doesn't like horses. Gosh.
Don't even get me started on perissodactyls, man. Those things, I swear, without horses having utility in that we can ride on them and that, like, a lot of women, at least where I come from, are like horse girls, and they become codependent with their horse. And just, like, no, I'm not even kidding, like, emotionally codependent with their horse. And, like, they just love their horse, and they believe this horse is loving them, and like, I don't know how far they take it.
Didn't realize horses had wounded.
How many dates have walked away from you because you started going off on a tangent about horses?
Oh, there was at least one where I was just like, horses are retarded, and I hate horse girls, and she's like, I'm a horse girl, I'm like, date over.
Nice.
Go see your horse. Like,
oh,
you know what? I can't abide by that. I'm sorry. Like, I just can't. Like, I'm not emotionally codependent with my cat. Why would you be emotionally codependent with your horse? And cats are by like an absurd margin a lot more awesome than a horse. I'm just.
So, anyways, the primal Zerg, they have a pack mentality as opposed to a superorganism mentality.
Here's the difference, though, is that they do have a discrete leader, such as Dehaka. So they do have someone calling the shots. And even to the point of assigning different roles for, so it's not, you're right, it's not a superorganism mentality. There is a hierarchy though. Even if it's not quite as fun.
Strongest rules.
Yeah.
He who changes survives. He who doesn't change dies.
Exactly. So the most successful at adapting, just like in evolution, are going to typically be the ones that are the most successessile.
Except for the ancient one, who was so darn successful that he got bored of it and decided to burrow into the earth and fall asleep.
I think the thing with him is that he had a metabolism that is like a hypoactive version of, say, something like in a crocodile. Well, for example, we use something like a boa constrictor. A large boa constrictor can go up to probably about 2 years without even moving. Just sitting there waiting for prey to come by. They lower their heart rate to something absolutely ridiculous, like 3 beats per minute or something like that. And it's called estivation. And they basically, I've even seen this with my tortoise. I mean, he does something called brumating, which is kind of like a wakeful hibernation. I haven't fed him in a week, and he's just totally like, whatever.
Wish I could do that.
Yeah. So I think that this is what was going on, and this
for
is
like your
why,
kids or something.
Well, I don't know. It would help pro gamers. You know, you don't have to eat.
Yeah.
Just.
I like eating though.
Bromate.
Okay. Bromate.
I mean, bromate. Whatever it's called. What is it? Brumate.
Brumate.
Bromate. I'm just gonna say bromate. Bromate.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
Maybe.
Oh god, this is just going bad. But anyway, that's why they had to dump a whole bunch of food into this thing's grease boiler, because like he was like the ultimate sit and wait predator, right? The way that he evolved was he was just sitting there waiting for things to fall into his mouth. And so to wake him up from this sort of estivation or brumation, you had to dump a bunch of food in there. What I'm not understanding is, why couldn't you have just made like 500 Zergling and just marched them straight in there?
Maybe it wasn't to his taste.
Well, it's not like he has a choice.
Come on,
would
you rather eat a lean and hard, all carapace Zergling with the metabolic glands and all that, or would you rather a nice, tasty, fat cut of prime Quilgore?
See, that's no. You know what? If you're basically, if your entire way of obtaining food
served by a drone, and drones are very good at serving, we know this. They serve the hive. So.
Oh God, you're terrible, man. You know what? No. Here's the thing, though. You could have had them, load up several dump trucks full of feces and dump it into the guy's mouth, and there's nothing that he could have done about it because of the way that he evolved to obtain nutrients.
I think he could have woken up and completely annihilated you and taken your essence, but
See, there you go. He should have done that.
He tried to.
Yes,
but only after she'd assimilated the pack, or
would you assume that people have essence?
Well, I think what they mean is genes, and it's just a different terminology. I think that the way that because if they actually legitimately mean essence and like souls and stuff, then that's just full throttle retard. Like there's just no.
It's alluding towards it, but it's throwing a sci-fi twist on it, so you can take it either way.
It's kind of. I mean, it's kind of a dumbed down version of horizontal gene. Yeah, and it's. I mean, that's the thing I don't really like about the primal Zerg is that mechanic. Although that said, if you compare them with things like, say, the Swarm in StarCraft 1, you've got the Cerebrits who are calling a vast majority of the like micromanaging shots, and Overlords. You get one Mutalisk, and he's able to kill all the Cerebrits because they're just blobs, and all the Overlords because they're just flying blobs. And so basically it's kind of going the other way, where the least effective at killing are starting to call the shots. So there's that.
Cerebrits are immortal, dude.
Oh, really? Tell that to Zeratul. Boom!
They did. But he said, guess what? I've got warp blades. So.
Yeah. Just steal a warp, just jack a warp blade from a Zeratul or something.
You can't just jack a warp blade. They're rendered by their psionics.
Oh, right.
You can't just take it from them.
See, I didn't know this. I try to avoid...
but you can kill a Jedi and take his lightsaber. You can do that.
Is that not the same mechanic?
It's a little different.
Okay. I was unaware that there is a distinction between magic and magic.
There is.
There's like different
Read
subsets.
up on it.
Different I wish Zappy was here, because he'd probably have some far-fetched physics, gravitational... entanglement idea.
Oh, I'm sure he's with us in essence.
Oh God, I hate you.
At least in spirit.
Okay, you guys, I hate you.
What is his metachlorian count, you think?
Oh God.
It's over 9,000!
I don't know, man. You know what? If
Gentlemen, I gotta go to the raid call Q&A, but...
Okay, well, we'll just wrap it up then. Basically, to all the viewers, just leave ideas for specifics that we can really get into, either in the comments or threads or whatever. And thanks to Jeff here for taking some time out of his day to hang out with the peasantry and Masters League and below.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Have a good one.
Yeah.
You too. See you guys.
All right. So, I guess we're just going to wrap that up by saying, leave your comments. And now is the best time to volunteer with the show, because we've got so much information to cover.
Absolutely.
Like a silly amount of information to cover. We have to go over all the different stuff that we've covered before, and then all the new stuff, and then still continue to rip on Dehaka for being retarded.
Dehaka.
Yeah, for being
I
Dehaka.
actually thought he was pretty cool, though.
No. The official AoS standpoint is that he was terrible.
He's fine.
Shut up.
It was funny how stupid he was, though. Like,
yeah,
that's what I liked about it.
He was all right, I guess.
He's very simple, very straightforward. He wants essence. I mean, Easy guy to please. Okay, you want essence. We get you essence. Gosh, nothing complicated. Like, I want to belong. I want my identity. I want to control the swarm, but still have the guy I love somehow approve of me and save the universe, but kill stuff.
This sounds really homosexual coming from a man.
Well, then don't think of me as a man, Panera.
Oh, I guess you are only Masters League, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't see how that... Okay. All right. Sure.
Okay, so
right.
You can, if you're uncomfortable with getting flamed on YouTube, because I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with how YouTube works. You can always send me a message to my inbox as well. I keep that open. Unlike some people that just shut that down and try to butthurt. We're also going to be looking at trying to get some other personalities, maybe Leg TV coming back on, or who knows? Who knows? So if you want your opportunity to hang with somebody from the scene, volunteering is a great way to do it. Also tell your friends and your grandma at a funeral about the show.
See you.